Carver in the hall.
In the hall.
Madonna.
2 D's and 1 N.
In the hall.
She's Miss Joni.
And she's in the hall.
It's Matt in the hall.
Paris in the hall.
Spiel in the hall.
Kimmy in the hall.
Zach in the hall.
Sky in the hole.
Knock on wood.
Hey, dude. Yeah.
And this is Kristen in the hall.
All right, hello. It's the end of May. That means it's time to pick the host for In the Hall for next year. We're on our way to that person's house. I did not tell them that they've been chosen yet, but they are expecting me because I said I had to drop something off. So it will be a surprise to them. But I figured on the way there, I'll answer some common questions that I get about In the Hall. The first question I often get is, how many hosts have there been? We started the show back in 2001, and since then we've had 20 hosts. Now the reason there's 20 hosts and not 19 is the first year we actually had 2 different hosts. The first semester, John Carver hosted the show, and then the second semester, Jimmy Strauss hosted the show. Another question I often get is, how can you become the host of In the Hall? Well, there are a few requirements. First of all, you have to be a telecommunications student. Secondly, you have to be a senior. And then third, you have to apply for the position. There is a written application that you have to turn in. The application asks things like, what are questions you would ask? What would it be the name of your show? What would your intro look like? So I take all that into account and how well you did in telecommunications, and that determines who will be the host for the following year. So why did we start In the Hall? Well, it was actually started for a student, a learning support student, John Carver, who needed more practice interacting with different people.
How do you feel about the new dress code, Blame?
I don't mind the dress code, really.
It became very popular, so we decided to continue with it even after John stopped doing the show. Who do I think was the funniest host? Well, in the beginning, the show was never designed to be funny. It was just supposed to be a current event show. It wasn't until 2004, when the host was Andrew Visker, that he started making the show a comical show.
Who is more hardcore? Pirates or Vikings? You decide.
Is that baseball or football?
No, actual Pirates or actual Vikings.
Now, the host that probably made me laugh the most was back in 2005, and that was Shalane Miller, only because she was so unpredictable and you just never knew what she was going to ask.
What is your favorite pig meat?
Do you find me attractive?
Why do the hosts always seem to ask the same people the question every week? The host is typically recording the show over the same period or the same couple periods every week. It's because that's when they have study hall or that's when they have telecom. So they tend to run into the same people in open campus or lunch, and they don't have many choices. Also, when you try to ask people a question, a lot of times they refuse to answer the questions, and some hosts tend to go to the same people because they know they're going to get a funny answer from those people.
What's your best pickup line?
That's easy. Jay, how much does a polar bear weigh?
I don't know.
Enough to break the ice.
Has anybody ever quit In the Hall? There was one year where, after doing the show for a couple months, the host decided it was just too much pressure and actually quit the show. Instead of just picking another host that year, I changed the name of the show to In the Hall Mystery Host. Made the show interesting because you didn't know who the host was going to be, and you didn't know what the question was going to be, and then some weeks we picked staff members, so it wasn't always a student. People think that I pick a boy and then a girl host and then a boy host and then a girl host, that I alternate every year. Sometimes it works out that way, but that is not the intent or what I try to do. In fact, the first couple of years it was boys, and then after that it was girls, and there have been times where there have been 3 girl hosts in a row and then 3 boy hosts in a row, so there really is no rhyme or reason. It's really dependent on the applications. Well, the very first show was Carver in the Hall, and that was the student's last name. And it's pretty much been dependent on the student. Do they want to call it by their last name or their first name? Except one year, when Zach Dick was the host, he wanted to call the show by his last name, and he wanted to call it Dick in the Hall. Personally, I had no problem with it because Dick was not a nickname. It was his actual name, and there had been many hosts that called it by their last name. But when administration found out, they did not want him to use his last name and told him he had to use his first name. He went with it, and it became Zach in the Hall. Pulling into the development now. So I'm a couple houses down from the student's house, and I'm going to put on my mask to be safe and my gloves, and give the student a package and see if they figure out that they've been chosen as next year's host. They have a Nest doorbell. Hello, Ryan, how are you?
I'm alive, see, I'm alive, living the Corona lifestyle. You know how it is.
I have a package for you.
Okay, all right.
Please open it.
This is not a glitter bomb, is it? Oh, no, see. Is this real? Is this truly?
Do you know what that means, that you're getting that?
Is this the In the Hall mic?
That is the In the Hall mic, Ryan, and that can only mean one thing. You have been chosen as the host of In the Hall for next year.
First the award, now this. See, this is an award of itself, see? You know that.
Now, to practice, Ryan, I need you to do something. I need you right now to come up with a question and go in that house and ask anybody that's in there that question. Can you do it?
Okay, yeah, sure, I can do that.
He's going.
You want me to bring them out here?
No.
No? All right, this is coronavirus Ryan in the hall. More like Ryan in my backyard. I got a very special guest here. You won't see her in the hall, hopefully. Miss Faye DePiro, how far can you jump?
Probably only 2 inches.
2 inches? Okay. Okay. Can you show me how far you can jump? There you have it. That far.
So look forward to August to see this guy over here in the hall asking questions. And if we're not back in school in August, he'll be asking questions right here in the hallway of this house. So, we'll see you then.